even the planet has a horoscope, because that full energy pattern is kind of coming in and we're experiencing it collectively all together. So what effects right now is that energy producing for all of us? Well, first of all, there's a blanket transit. The planet Uranus and the planet Pluto are square. They have been for a little while. They're going to be for years. So there's going to be a lot more activity about those individuals rebelling against authority. So when we see more things in the news where individuals are going up against authority figures, that's the overriding thing that's moving us forward right now at this time. Mercury is in a retrograde period, so you don't want to sign any contracts. If things feel confusing, chill out. It's going to end soon. Mars is in Libra, Saturn's in Libra. Relationships, very serious. We're going to have to focus on them. We're going to have to put our best foot forward in relationships. We're going to have to take initiative to make a compromise. And you can do that because Venus is moving from Gemini into Cancer, so it's not just going to be all talk and love. You're actually going to be able to give someone a massage, cook someone dinner, something nice, nurture a little bit. That's where you're going to find the love.